I'm about to reveal some information I received through a remote viewing session I had with the GFL on the wildfires in California. It is mind-blowing, the information I've seen. It was not what I was expecting. It's a little crazy, maybe a little woo-woo for some people who aren't in the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension, so it might come off a little, it's crazy. So we're going to get into it now, but what I'd like to do first is go over some predictions that recently just flourished in the last 3 weeks of our new year, 2025, from the predictions video that I launched in December. I again want to emphasize how extremely important and significant 2025 is going to be. It is going to have massive explosions everywhere of things going on, and it's going to be on repeat. And you're going to see this a lot in 2025, especially in ways we haven't seen before. Now, if you are new to my platform, welcome, obviously. You have found your way here and are resonating through this frequency for a reason, and you may be here to learn something small or learn something huge to either shake up your reality or shift you into the other realities that we are currently seeing ourselves in these different timelines. If you want to see more insider info, disclosure meetings with the GFL, just all around shifting your reality into a different consciousness of awareness, you're going to want to go to this link, which is my Patreon Mooniverse membership. These are things that I cannot disclose on social media that you will find in the membership itself. That is a safe space where I can do that. So if you want to learn a little bit more about timeline shifting, quantum mechanics, shifting from third dimension into fourth dimension or fourth dimension into fifth dimension, the membership holds the key to all of that, especially any galactic meetings that are held for the membership members. Obviously stuff that I cannot disclose on these regular platforms. One of the predictions that I want to go over are these fiery heat waves, and that went right to California's heat wave of fires going through the land, and this happening in wintertime, which was significant to this prediction that why would we have a heat wave so hot in middle of winter, right? The other one is the recent volcanic activity. I mentioned this actually in the GFL meeting, the most last GFL meeting that I had with them, where they had mentioned the 2 volcanic eruptions. One was the warning. The second one is like, this is it. That particular video on YouTube is called Galactic Federation Message with Proof. The last prediction I want to go over before we get in deep diving into the other information is the prediction of the big earthquake and tsunami activity. That literally just happened. Thank God no one got seriously hurt with the tsunami, because that kind of devastated itself. Asian coast getting hit and the earthquakes already taking place within the first month of the new year. Now, the remote viewing I did on the California fires really took me on a deep dive into timelines. And at first I was like, why am I seeing all these different things adding up to one answer? Why am I getting different answers clustered into one answer for a simple question as to why or what or who, right? So I'm asking all these questions and I'm getting all these different answers. And then it was a aha moment for me to realize that they were breaking it down into the different timeline realities and not just one perception of one reality. It has to be broken up into the different realities as to an answer for these questions. These breaking down levels of answers took me into the different realities of dimension, which we currently are in the third, fourth, and fifth dimension. So I want to start with the third dimensional level, and the majority of people in this level are on a physical level of seeing things. So their mindset is simply to not thinking outside the box or questioning anything. They're just going along with the narrative or the agenda that the elite has them on that timeline. Oh, well, a fire started, the winds picked up, and the winds spread it all around, right? So that's their major way of thinking. It's very simple, very conceptualized. Most who have not broken through the matrix or question things are just going to believe what's being told to them. They're just going to go along with whatever and not shake up the snow globe, right? So this is just a natural occurring thing to them. They're not thinking outside the box as if you would with fourth or fifth dimension. I'm also seeing this kind of conceptualized, simple way of thinking with what happened with the Biden administration, that whole government system, and with religion right now. We're seeing a lot of people coming out, and it's the Bible says this and this is this, and there's no questioning of, okay, the Bible was created how many centuries ago? You don't think it was altered and changed at any point in time within that time frame? If I said, hey, I see the color blue, and it goes to the next person, she sees the color blue till, and then it keeps going down, that the original blueprint is copied and copied and copied, and eventually that blueprint, if it's printed and copied so many times, it's going to lose its color and luster. So down the line, we're losing like maybe a line off the blueprint, or a certain section of the color was faded. This is what's happening with things like the Bible. Eventually, we have to determine for our inner selves and our inner consciousness that this object has been altered. And when I read into a sentence in the Bible, I need to be asking my higher self, is this truth, or is there something more to it? So I really want to quickly go over the different dimensions when it comes to Biden. So the third dimension, they see a healthy Biden in their reality. They don't see a crippled, sick Biden. They see a Biden that is very healthy, very with it, on point, and is doing great things. The fourth dimension sees a good Biden, but questions some things he's doing, some things that the administration is doing, and they are kind of questioning things, which is a good, healthy questioning on these levels, right? Then on the fifth dimension, you are breaking out of that matrix. You're seeing Biden for a corrupt elderly person being used as a puppet, and you want to change, and you voted in that change and that shift to that reality of being sick of going through the corruption and destruction, chaos and fear and lacking, and you want to change, so you changed it. So the fourth dimensional level, we just came out of the third and what their thoughts are on the fire. We're going into the fourth dimensional level and thinking about things. We're questioning things. We're brainstorming. We're breaking through the matrix level and going into the agendas and conspiracies, deep diving into those levels as to what the hell is really going on. Why are all these fires being set? Because I can see a normal fire in the third dimension. Let's think of it in a third dimension. I can see a normal, healthy fire once a year, maybe once every 3 years, but not consecutively as they're being set the way they are. So in the fourth dimension, I was picking up in my astral viewing of all this. The timeline I was looking at was there's a collaboration of 3 huge department heads of organizations. I saw like a chessboard, and there were certain levels to the chessboard, and the queen, the king, the higher up people in the back behind the scenes are puppeteering the littler people below and getting them to do things that they probably normally wouldn't do. But off the chessboard, on this energetic portal plane, which we will deep dive more into when we get to the fifth dimension, is the elite behind the scenes collaborating with these organizations and using these organizations to get their agenda in full view. So as I'm viewing all of this, I started noticing this is a regular pattern for what is going on, that these elites collaborate and join forces with these three top organizations. And sometimes those organizations will switch out with another organization, because altogether I keep seeing 8 organizations, top tier organizations, that collaborate with these lower or these underneath elites that you can't really see, organizing certain things and events that goes along with their agenda and their narrative and what they're trying to establish and accomplish with all this. So of course I get with the GFL, they show me all the timelines. I'm energetically, even though I felt like I was there physically because it was very, very hot, I'm seeing all these fires, and each dimensional reality kind of slits through. Do you know those like little machines that you go click, click, you know, you go like this and you get a different scene? It was kind of like that. It was like a different timeline scene that I was seeing through the perspective of those different realities and the way they're thinking through things. So with the 4th dimensional reality, they're seeing devastating lands and taking ownership. That is the agenda in that reality, that we are devastating the land and we are taking the land as our own, and we're seeking out the people that used to live there, and we're offering them a way out of that land. We're going to offer them money, or we're going to give them a different way of living, just so we can have what they no longer want, because maybe they don't want to rebuild. Maybe it's too much on their plate. Maybe their insurance didn't cover it. They're removing all of that. It's a needs to an end, okay? So then I asked, what did they want the land so bad for? Like, what is the purpose of this? And I got many, many different analogies and results in the 4th dimension, only because there's so many people on Earth questioning this agenda. They're questioning what is the purpose, and I got many different reasons as to why. The main one that jumped out at me was a psychological experiment was taking place. A testing on the psyche was taking place. This was the top tier one. I think this is the original agenda, but there's other ones that followed it. The other one I saw in a different timeline that branched through the 4th dimensional perspective reality was they were clearing out certain landmarks to place those, I call them the stacked up communities, where you can put a whole bunch of people into this big, big area, and they don't have to leave. They don't need a car. They want to keep everybody isolated in these areas. That was one part of the result I saw as an answer. The other one had to do with this Stargate. I'm not really sure what the whole deal with Stargate is. I am kind of getting with the GFL on a different video as to what the hell that actually is. And what they showed me, not in great detail, but like a kind of a, here's what it kind of is. It's a fraction of this AI division of breaking up the AI concept into little different compartments, and having each compartment do something certain. I think they're going to try this as a way of solving fraud. I see it also being used as a way of resolving election fraud as well. Even though I saw Trump doing such a great job with what he's doing now, that a lot of people don't want anybody else in that position. So I do see something ending election altogether. But as of right now, I'm seeing it as a concept of, oh, we can use it to solve election fraud, or we can use it to solve missing persons, and we can use it to solve credit card and banking fraud. It's being put into these different divisional aspects of utilizing it in these ways. And this is just a few. So the next question I asked was, how are they starting the fires? Because a lot of people were documenting certain things they were doing. And I wanted to see what the GFL had to say about this one in particular. We know that Maui fires and the Paradise fires were used as a direct energy technology source. It was a direct energy weapon of technology, of lasers, and this was actually documented through cameras. There's so many ways of videotaping and capturing their tactics on camera and documenting that evidence that they were trying to get us off track with this fire. So the timeline is different for this particular fire. These fires were physically started. As I mentioned in my Facebook Live of last week, I had said that I was seeing someone bending down and starting the fires. Now, when I asked this question, they took me even deeper into what I was seeing, and I got like swoon down into this area where the fire didn't even start yet, and I saw this guy with jet black hair. He had like clothing that masked him in the woods, where he wasn't wearing any bright colors, but it was plaided, like plaid green and blues. But you couldn't really tell if you weren't really looking. He was very masked. And I saw a little clumpet of hay, golden yellow hay underneath green bush. And he went up underneath where that hay was and he started the fire. And I saw not only him, but as I was pulling up, I saw others like him with kind of the same outfits doing that in, localized areas near him. The direct energy weapon of technology was stage one. This is a tactic of veering you off, and that was stage two, a psychological direct energy weapon of the psyche. These people are also being highly paid by these organizations. Now, I had asked the question of, why physically, and the answer was because they're misdirecting, they're distracting, and trying to rewrite the narrative of the laser technologies, right? Then I saw these individuals with these suitcases of money, and they're leaving. They're like, I just kept saying, a plane go this way, plane go that way. It was, when you look at a map and there was like these dotted lines and there's planes just going off in different directions off of like Earth, and I was seeing them just going everywhere. These individuals were highly paid with suitcases of money, which I think was a metaphor that this was bank accounts being filled up with money, and that these people were asked to leave the country and their identities completely removed. However, there was a tracking device so that they could monitor their lives. And these tracking devices, I almost could sense that they were picking up on emotion. They were picking up on what they were eating, what their health was like, and almost like, I don't want to say a lie detector, but almost like they could tell if they were up to something through the device. Like maybe if they were about to tell somebody something that they weren't supposed to. It was almost like a detection, like a red flag will go off if something wasn't right within their life that would give them a red flag. With these tracking devices, I did see one individual. I'm not sure if it's going to be this year or next year. I didn't see that on the timeline, but I did see a man coming forward and disclosing the events, disclosing all the truth in a testimonial camera view. So this was being put onto camera and then put out into the public for everybody to see. Once that took place, once he sat down with those camera people, I saw him going into protective care by the Trump administration. So this got all the way back to Trump, and Trump placed him under a deep, deep protection agency for this testimonial. And I kept seeing the name Greg or Gregory. So I'm not sure if that's a last name, middle name. All I saw was Greg or Gregory. Once this man comes forward and discloses this information, I was placed into a room with this table with what looked like computer system, And when I looked up to look at the screen, I saw all these tracking devices being tracked. And I saw somebody's hand hit the computer system and put like a code in. And all of a sudden, I look up at the screen, and it was like each red dot was starting to disappear. And I said, well, what just happened? What is he doing? And I heard the word eliminate the evidence. So by a tap of a keyboard, they were able to, I guess, take them out. But this guy in particular was able to take his tracking device out without them even knowing. I feel like it was still on, so the red dot was still on the screen. So when they pressed his code in, it wasn't in him to take him down. So, yeah, that's what I saw. So by him coming forth and divulging this information, he did put at risk all the other ones. And that's sad, but they did, come to an agreement that they were doing this for all this money, and they knew exactly what they were doing by setting fires. So it's sad, but that is the decision they made for their lives. Then I saw the winds expanding the fires, but these winds were created, not naturally formated. I saw a specific weather device being used for this particular purpose of setting, to keep this, going and keep it roaring and keep it expanding. This is done through electromagnetic field, which can create wind or like wind-like air particles of matter. Air can be manipulated by this device. That is how cool this device is. This is how strategic they are with creating things. They are able to make wind and air with this device and use it to their advantage, which is throwing out wind to the fire to expand it. Now I want to go into the higher perspective of these two dimensions, above the fourth dimension in a way, to kind of like a higher perspective. Not necessarily the fifth dimension, but just in between the fourth and fifth. What I saw in that particular limbo state of hovering in between both dimensions was great truth. I think this is where the woo-woo is going to come in, where people are like, huh? That's crazy. But I was seeing the elites trying to take back control of the awakening that has taken place already. That is their main goal right now, is to stop that awakening from spreading like the wildfires. They are trying to take back control of Earth through portals. And if you guys remember, I did do a video and I've spoken on portals and vortexes before. And actually a lot of this stuff is proven. They've done evidential experiments and they were able to prove portals and vortexes exist. And they were able to measure all of that through science. As I mentioned in some of these videos, portals and vortexes hold frequencies. And depending on the frequency, angels and fairies and different things can come in and out of these portals. UFOs can come in and out of these portals, but depending again on the frequency, other things can come in and out of those portals, like the elites and lower frequency individuals and lower frequency beings and just anything dark. Some of these bigger portals, the ancient portals, have been shut down, like Machu Picchu. It's been inactive for a very long time. The Easter Island is another that's been an ancient portal that's been, I wouldn't say it's closed fully because people can still feel an energy there. I don't think it's as big as it used to be, but it's like in a closed or a small closed window of energy. And that's where I feel that some of these portals have been, it's like a tree that slowly starts dying and you can start seeing it, wilter, and then eventually it just falls on its own. And this is what I see with these portals, is just they're so ancient that they can't hold the higher frequency because Earth went from a very high frequency down to a low frequency, and it's just been up and down, and those portals can't hold those frequencies if there isn't an environment around them to hold that frequency. Another example of a large portal that was kind of opened for a while was CERN. This is another example of scientifically opening up something to use it for a benefit or something else. So again, they were taking back control, or trying to take back control of Earth through these portals and adjusting the portal to their frequency and allowing them to use it for their own benefit. The biggest portal right now on Earth that I can see that's massively big and is still going strong, well, not for very long, is Hollywood. The Hollywood portal, the portal that, as the awakening has been taking place, is slowly shutting that down. And we're seeing that when we see things come forth into public view that have now a big shining spotlight on it, which would be the Diddy files, what Diddy was doing. Another one is the Epstein cases, and that coming out. A lot of this stuff coming to the surface because the awakening is closing these portals down, and we're using those portals to our frequency, and we're placing our frequency in those areas and shining a spotlight on what's been really going on, what's been hidden and corrupt, and us bringing it to the surface, because Earth has to change. And as we awaken and break out of the matrix, we are causing those rippled effects to take place. Ellen DeGeneres, that's like another one that kind of blew everybody's mind, right? That was like one of the big ones. Now, one of the things I do want to mention about the Diddy issue is, if you can understand your biblical research, and you really do your research, you'll know that Lucifer was a beautiful angel, and he was the angel of music. And when he did what he did, he was sent here, and he finds himself in the midst of using humans to his benefit, which would be music, entertainment, celebrity, beauty stuff, right? He's the beauty angel. So you're seeing a lot of these celebrities, they're beautiful, and I think of Diddy as being one of the highest Luciferian energies. I believe Lucifer was able to use him and push his soul aside, because fallen angels to me are the reptilian race. That is what I'm seeing. Fallen angels turn into a metamorphosis of what they used to be, and they turn into a lower formation of what that looks like. Did you ever see somebody that was very, very healthy, very beautiful, and then they started doing drugs, and it was like, holy shit, what happened to you, right? Teeth are missing, sunken in eyes, they barely have any meat on their bones, they just do not look like themselves, right? It's a metamorphosis change that is just not in a good way that happens to them when they get into something like that. And that is what I'm seeing happen to beautiful angels that God created, and they take a different route, they take a darker route, and their metamorphosis changes into something more not good, right? I believe he saw a weakness in Diddy, in Sean Combs, and was able to push his soul aside. Because if you go back and you listen to documentaries and you're reading about all this stuff, the biggest thing that you will hear is, I know Sean Combs, and whoever this Diddy person is, I don't know them. Because when that reptilian took over through the ritual and pushed his soul aside, he was able to push it so aside that it gave itself a new name, a new identity, and Sean Combs was no longer there. His soul was no longer there. You will even hear some people say it was like his soul wasn't there anymore, like he wasn't there anymore. Yeah, because Luciferian energy, the reptilian of Lucifer energy, took over and pushed Sean Combs, his original soul, to the side, and was just like, yeah, I'm taking over because you agreed to it, you went through the ritual, this is what's happening. We see it a lot with celebrities, And you will see a lot of it happening because what is celebrity? What is music? It's beautiful. The biggest one that jumps out at me through the music industry that I'm seeing a very drastic transformational change, that her soul is no longer there, is Ariana Grande. I don't know what this is that we have now, but the one before was originally her, and she must have been put through the ritual, because what we're seeing now is not her. Absolutely not her. Now, going back to them taking the land, them taking control of the land, I had asked about the blue roofs, and they laughed actually, and they said, well, that should be your key as to who's involved in the organizations, because their houses are being skipped completely. Their houses are being saved completely. That blew my mind, because it's basically like when Biden did all those pardons 20 minutes before Trump took inauguration. That shows great guilt. Like, he basically just made a list of all the people that were involved. This person did something, this person did something, this. And it's the same kind of concept with these blue roofs. This person's involved, this person's involved, this person's involved. They're basically putting a big X on their identity and who they are and what they're involved in. Let's also take a good look at the Pope and what he did on Christmas Eve with opening up the portal and portals. Right there, guys, should basically show you what they're doing with the portals right now. They are taking back control of these portals, or they're trying to at least take back control of these portals so that they can take back control of Earth. So if you can think of Maui or the Paradise Fires, like these certain areas, they're very beautiful areas, right? Maui especially, if you would think of it as a heart-centered area for Earth, because it's so beautiful, it's very high vibrational, it's got this like oozing, you want to go just be in it and be loved by it, right? And there's certain places around the Earth that are like that, that they just ooze love and comfort and just amazing energy. What happened after they did what they did to these areas? People around the world were sending their fears for these people. They were sending their sadness. They were sending their pain. They were just sending anything they could, because they were focusing in on that event and what was taking place. And through mourning, they were altering the portal. Unknowingly, these people around the world were altering that portal in particular and adjusting it to not our frequency, but theirs, their fearful, mourning, sorrowful energy portal. These portals were being altered. You have to remember, we are in the middle of an energetic, some can say it's spiritual, some can say it's religious, but we are in an energetic battle right now. Do we take control of what's happening to the narrative, or do they? And that's where we're at. Who wins in the end? And honestly, I see us winning, because they are at a loss right now. They are scrambling for options. They are scrambling for people. They're scrambling for resources. A lot of their resources, the people that used to want to be near them and help them or assist them, are no longer wanting anything to do with them. They're lacking in resources, they're lacking in options, and they're scrambling through fear to try to get back control. So that's why all these attempts and agendas are taking place. So the fifth dimension is the highest perspective we can look at. So when I was looking at this perspective as a collective whole, I was seeing a collective soul contract taking place. And it was all about purging and clearing these areas. It was a toxic cleanse. This was the fifth dimensional perspective through the collective, that they're purging, they're clearing, they're getting rid of Hollywood energy, right? Everything's being cleared out. Now, one of the things that I want to mention when I say toxic energy being cleared out was sex trafficking, drugs, killings. I mean, there's a lot of places in Los Angeles, different little areas, that are just plagued with this stuff 24/7 nonstop. And that is mainly the goal with the collective. They want to remove all that toxic energy. And that was the contract agreement, that even though this agenda is taking place, we as a higher perspective dimension we're going to use it to clear out all that energy so that we can manipulate the energy to a even higher frequency within that portal. Obviously, this is not what the elite wanted to happen, but that's what's taking place. They obviously weren't seeing that concept. And in our higher dimensional perspective, we totally are using this to our advantage. I also saw that this is going to prompt a waking up process to those that haven't woken up or awakened to the awakening, because a lot of shit is going to go down in 2025. So if this doesn't shake them up, then something along the lines within 2025 will eventually shake them to their core and wake them up. Every time they try to do something to lower our frequency through control, through manipulation, it only prompts us to fight against it, rise above, question everything, elevate our sense of consciousness and our collective consciousness together. As I stated in my last live feed on Facebook during the inauguration process and all of that, I had mentioned that we're going to see a lot of disclosure through documentary advertising. That's through documentaries. You're going to be binge watching Netflix documentaries coming here soon, whether again that's this year or next year or maybe 5 years from now. It is still going to happen, and a lot of what's going to be disclosed is what happened in the last 4 years with the immigration, what really was going on with that. All the Biden-Harris crap, all the elite crap, everything with the Clintons, Bushes, Obamas, Bidens. We're going to see a lot of that disclosure coming out in documentary style disclosure, where we're seeing it on Hulu and Netflix. You're just going to be binge watching documentaries coming around that time. The biggest message I got from the GFL is 2025 is going to feel sped up. It's going to be agenda after agenda after agenda, and you're not even going to be able to think or fight back or, protest these agendas that they're just trying to come through. I just saw one the other day with Mike Pence. He had put something out that he was attacking Robert Kennedy for all the medical stuff. He's like the pharmaceutical stuff he's going after. And Pence was trying to get his little nubby nose in there and basically attacking him, because Pence doesn't want us to stop using pharmaceuticals. They don't want us finding natural ways of staying healthy and not being obese with the crap they're putting in. I also just saw something about not eating McDonald's food, fast food. It was don't eat any fast food. There are human remains in the food. They're also using different parts of cows. They're not using just one part. They're using different parts of cows. And some of the cows that they're kind of putting into the meat has parts of cancer, which is, again, bringing on an illness. Then you have to go to their hospitals, use their medicine. Again, them getting money out of you. You're just a price tag, right? And they're going to use any way they can to get that price tag. Cha-ching, 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 right? So we won't even have time to protest. It's going to be so many agendas, one after another, because they don't like what Trump is doing, and they're going to try to bring his simplicity to chaos and corruption. And just, we're already seeing it with Elon Musk. I'm seeing so many people arguing about him doing this. And the thing is, when it comes to Nazi regime stances and how they kind of portrayed themselves, it was up higher. It was not here. And not only that, he had placed his hand on his heart for a good couple seconds. Long enough for you to notice that his hand was on his heart, and then he was sending it out. He wasn't doing this. He was sending it out. He was doing this. Out. And when I'm seeing this argument, like, oh, they will find anything to break down this new administration, because they're in that third dimensional reality. They're not seeing the truth of what's going on. And people that, have been supporting Trump, they think that all those people are nuts. They're not seeing what you're seeing, and they're not going to see what you're seeing. Doesn't matter how many times you argue. We had a family member that basically just, it was not a good post. I reached out to her and she kept defending it. And I'm like, she's not seeing it. In her reality, she is not seeing. And this is a bright girl. What they have done, what the elite has done to a lot of these young people who are still trying to figure out their own lives, they have downloaded so much nonsense and crap into their brains and into their energy. They can't even think twice without going along with their narrative. I'm seeing it time and time again. It's like they're in dum-dum mode. Like, holy crap, you need to wake up and see what is going on. Like, you are in a reality illusion. That is not even what's going on. Like the whole Elon thing, that is not what's going on. He is not doing a Nazi move. He was so excited, and he has autism. And I have a family, my daughter has autism. And when they get excited, they can't help themselves, especially because most of them are socially awkward, and Elon Musk is socially awkward. I saw it with her as well. Very socially awkward. Things that you didn't normally expect somebody to say or do, they do. And they say. I've seen it. Claire's Day. And what he was doing was, he was so excited. He was trying to get his heart out to them. And it was just like, and they took it to a whole new level because that's their reality and they're going along with that narrative. So the more you question, the more you wake up, the more collectively we come together and focus in on those energies and manipulating what they're trying to do, manipulate it for us. We've seen it. Plain as day, we've seen how collectively we can change something. Look what we did with Hurricane Milton in Florida. We have the power to change all of that, right? We can manipulate the energy. We came together as a collective and we prayed, we sent meditational intentions, we brought something more powerful to the table. And Florida could have been completely, most parts of it, devastated from this hurricane. But it was cease and desist, right? Our energy was like cease and desist and stop. And it did. Right after that collective came together in such a strong way, we were able to reroute and change that narrative to what we wanted the outcome to be. And yes, what we see with what Trump is doing, a lot of people are concerned, a lot of people are scared. But what the GFL told me was, he is the power of change. I have been telling you guys this from 2015 when I started going live on Facebook to divulge this information and give you a preparation for his coming. I warned you guys, he is change. He is drastic change. And a lot of people are going to get the rug pulled out from under them because they're not going to expect the change he brings. He is God's trumpet. He breaks down the walls of Jericho. Jericho being the corrupt government system. We need that change, but it is such a drastic change. A lot of people are just, they're frozen, basically. They don't know what to do with him. But see, we as the collective raising to fifth dimension, we understand what he's trying to get to. Yeah, it's going to be hard. Yeah, we're not going to understand some things. But in order to bring change, we have to go through trials and tribulation. We have to go through challenges and beautiful outcomes. Like, we have to get to that point, and sometimes it gets a little rough to get to that point. You cannot have success unless you work hard to get at it. And sometimes that's sleepless nights. Sometimes that's not eating a meal or two. It's not being with your family all the time. Like, whatever your sacrifice is to get to your success, think of it tenfold when it comes to what he's trying to do for the whole entire world. When the elite are in a dizzy, when they are in a chaotic motion of chaos, that is the perfect time to start manifesting, especially collectively, getting into small groups of meditation. Because right now they're in a dizzy. Anytime you see an event that's chaotic, they're in a dizzy. They're trying to scramble to change a timeline, to change a situation. They're doing something to change something. So right in the middle of that chaos, the eye of the storm, is when you want to fully manifest and change those outcomes. Manifest things for yourself as an individual, manifest things as a collective together. Even if that means starting a little manifesting meditation group on Facebook, a little collective of your own that meditates on these things. At least you are doing something for the collective. Even if it's on a small scale, you're still adding to that percentage of frequency and raising that vibration. So right now, as a collective, us coming together on this video, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine being and hovering within the energy of Los Angeles and of California. I want you to be in the midst of that area of fire. And imagine a water rain downpour. It's coming down in thick clumps, and it's heavy, and it's coming down strong, and it's pouring all over the fires, and it's saving animals, it's saving people's houses, it's saving people. Just imagine what the raindrops look like to you, and imagine it hitting the ground, and it's tss, 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 right? That sound it makes when it hits fire, and it's taking out the fire, and it's doing this because you are willing it and you want it to be out. Cease and desist. Cease and desist. You are done now, fire. You are done. We have had enough. You are done. You're not manipulating our portal anymore, right? Coming together through that meditation. You can do that meditation alone, in private. Maybe do one of your own collectively on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. You are manipulating the chaos into a better outcome. And this is what the GFL is asking you to do. Anytime there's a chaotic event, go right into meditation and manipulate the energy to a better outcome for yourself, for the collective, for the whole universe. All right, guys, that's it for me. I will see you on the next one. We're going to get with Kate Middleton, see what she has to say on her journey as a soul clone. We're going to find out more about that whole path and get a little update. If you didn't check out the last Kate Middleton, go check that out. It's on my YouTube channel, Moon Eir. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you on the next one.